Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. So I thought because the new Batman film is coming up very soon, I thought I would talk about everything we've seen. So firstly, the trailer was amazing. I loved the trailer, and I was pleasantly surprised when we first saw the trailer, the first ever official trailer back in, I think it was 2020, when because I was always hesitant with Robert Pattinson. Now with Robert Pattinson, he brought something new. Is bringing something new to this whole franchise. And like with this film, I feel like this is going to give something new, give something fresh, and because this is focusing more on Batman's detective side, I feel like that is something that's allowing this film to stand out from Batman vs Superman or the Dark Knight trilogy and stuff like that, because this is feeling more like a crime noir detective story, and that doesn't really get highlighted much within the live action versions of Batman, and that is a big part of who Batman is in the comics. But also when I saw the trailer for the first time, I was like, wow. Like, this is probably dark. This is going to be darker than the Dark Knight trilogy. This is more brutal. He looks emotionally unstable, and I feel that's in some ways that's a good thing, because this is him starting out. It's like it's the second year into Batman. This isn't him or like 10 years or 5 years. It's him starting out, so he's going to be rough around the edges. And they did say in the article that this is going to dive into a horror, because Matt Reeves said it was diving more into the horror aspects as well, which I am looking forward to, because Batman is something like a horror character in some instances, how he targets criminals, how he strikes fear in the heart of criminality. And what we've seen so far with the trailers and that clip, I am super pumped for this film. With Zoe Kravitz, she looks like she's going to be an interesting Catwoman. I think she's going to be the more comic accurate Catwoman than we've had previously. I don't know why, just by watching the trailer her, and I see her interact with Bruce, it feels like comic accuracy. I feel like she is going to be leaning on both sides. Like, she's going to be a villain and then she's going to be a hero. It's going to be like an anti-hero with Selina. And, that is something we really haven't seen before in live action, apart from Gotham, but that's kind of a different story. But with Michelle Pfeiffer, she was more, all about herself. She didn't really, it was more of a, she did a lot of bad things in those films. But this one, I'm looking forward to seeing where we go with this version of Catwoman. And I feel like also with this depiction of Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, it feels like this could open the door for a HBO Max series exploring more of her, Selina Kyle, and I would love to see that. Now with Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, the thing what I'm liking about the trailers is she has this charisma, she has this personality, and she isn't just physical sex appeal. In some sense, she has this way of speaking that kind of makes her more intimidating, more, one of those crazy hot sex. It's very hard to explain, but like I'm saying, she's comic accurate. She seems like she's going to be comic accurate. Now with the costume wise, it's probably a prototype. I feel like she'll get a better suit. Maybe not in this film, but maybe if they do a sequel, they could do they give her a new suit. But speaking of costumes, Robert Pattinson's suit looks phenomenal. I personally like it. It's homemade. It's like, it's not him going to Wayne Tech. It's not him. It's just him making his suit. And they did say that that's what it's going to be. It's going to be him making his own suit. Now, what I realized from the suit, it's taken inspiration from Gotham by Gaslight. It's taken inspiration, because also with the collars as well, it's taken inspiration from the White Knight storyline. Then with the gauntlets, it feels like Talon based, so it's taken some inspiration from the Talons from the Court of Owls That's what I want in the sequel or something in the third film. Anyway, and I feel like with the chest, with the logo, the symbol, it kind of like has some similarities to the Arkham games. That was cool as well. And actually, there is a running theory that the symbol is actually the gun that killed his parents, and that would be awesome, and that would bring a lot more of a personal element to his suit. And I do love how it is stitched, his cowl. That's kind of cool as well, like giving us the real feel of it being homemade. But no, I'm loving the suits, and I feel like with Catwoman, it is a prototype. Don't forget they're diving more back into realism, which I'm kind of looking forward to again. I feel like with Batman, when they try and do it too comic booky, it can falter. It can feel a bit, I don't know, eccentric sometimes. So when they stick to a more grounded, darker, realistic take, I kind of like that, which I see is what they're doing here. And they are taking inspiration from The Long Halloween and Batman Year One, so that is kind of cool as well. Now, regarding Alfred, now we haven't seen much from him in the trailer. And that's kind of cool because if they're not showing much in the trailer, that means there's still a lot more and something maybe they're trying to keep from us. So I'm looking forward to seeing who this Alfred is. And Andy Serkis looks like he's going to be a badass Alfred Pennyworth. And that's just my opinion. He looks like it. He looks like he's been through a lot with a scar. He's going to be badass. I feel like he's going to be badass. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how he interacts. Because I know that in the trailer he had hinted there is this running thing that Bruce Wayne's parents were corrupt. And I can't wait to see how that flushes out. Because I feel like that would be cool and give a new take on his parents' mythology. Instead of him then just dying, it gives it more of a personal element, how they affected Gotham, how they affected the citizens, and how they contributed to organized crime, and how Bruce's mission is in some ways trying to redeem his family name. He's trying to right the wrongs of the Wayne legacy. So that will be a personal element. And you see it in the trailer as well with the Riddler, because he's talking about how, how he's targeting the Waynes and how he's targeting corruption. So that kind of nods to the Waynes being part of the corruption, and he probably thinks Bruce Wayne is now part of the corruption. So that would be cool. And I'm also looking forward to seeing what Wayne Enterprises is as well. I can't wait to see if it's because I know they're doing a gothic feel. I want to see what Wayne Enterprises looks like. Is Lucius Fox in this universe? There's a lot I'm looking forward to. Now with Edward Nashton, the Riddler, you know what? People don't like his suit because it looks weird. I like it. It looks sinister. If they went with the kind of, suit and hat, I don't know if it would have worked, because I don't think he would have looked sinister. And this whole film is dark. It's gritty. He doesn't look intimidating. It wouldn't look intimidating if he was wearing a suit and a cap and a question mark. I like how they went with like the hush kind of like thing around his face. It looks cool. It looks sinister, and that's what I'm loving. And I think there's a lot of complexity with his character just by looking at the trailer. I feel like he was affected by organized crime. Something happened, and maybe that's why he's targeting the Waynes. Maybe the Waynes had done something to him, and that's why he's now going after Bruce Wayne. I know he's going after all of organized crime, but for some reason he's targeting Bruce Wayne more. Maybe because he is the face of Gotham. Maybe he is the billionaire playboy that he's well known. I don't know, but there's a lot of element, and I feel there's a lot of complexity with this character. Now I know they're not doing Enigma. I don't know why they're not doing it. I think they wanted to kind of give their own take on it. Maybe he might come out as Enigma at the end. Maybe maybe Nashton was more of a different name, and then his actual birth name was Enigma. So it would be interesting to see. Jim Gordon, I'm looking forward to seeing as well. Now, the reason I'm looking forward to seeing this Jim Gordon, because I feel like he's going to be a lot more hands-on. I feel like he's going to be a lot more of being a police officer. I feel like we're going to see a lot more of him trying to deal with all the corruption. And I know they're doing a series, the Gotham PD, and I think he's going to be the main focal point in that. But I feel like there is a lot of complexity with this Jim Gordon. Now, the one in Gotham, I kind of liked and then disliked. The sole reason is because in the comics, Gordon always believes in the law, always believes in never crossing the line. and especially taking a life. Now, in Gotham, and they kind of didn't do that. His character went through a arc where he started to kill people. He crossed too many lines to get what he wanted. I didn't like that element because Jim Gordon doesn't really do that. He's more of an honest and has high values, and he only tolerates Batman and his friendship with Batman because he knows he's doing it for the greater good and he is actually making a change. But he would never cross those lines because he wants to show the people of Gotham. He wants to show that the police force doesn't act like that. And that's what I kind of want to. That's what I'm kind of looking forward to, because I want to see this kind of depiction of Jim Gordon, similar to how we see him in the Dark Knight trilogy. He never crossed those lines. He was always about the people. He's always making sure he had high values. So I want to see that within this film, and I think that's where we're going with this, because he's going to be the one rooting out corruption within the police force, I think, and trying to figure out all this corruption within Gotham. So that's going to be a cool take. Now I know we're getting Colin Farrell's Penguin, and the thing I like about this is they're actually gone comic accurate with his Penguin. He's got the suit, he's overweight, he's got the long nose. It's going to look cool, and I know they announced that they are doing a series with that, so we're going to get some backstory into him. But the funny fact is, I didn't even know that was Colin Farrell when he showed us in the trailer, because I thought it was just a random mobster. I know he was cast as the Penguin, but I didn't know that was the Penguin until it was announced that he was wearing all these prosthetics and all that. I was like, whoever did those prosthetics needs a bloody raise, because my God, that was just mad. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing what they do. He looks a bit more psychotic. He looks something that you would see like yes in the comics, but he felt like more Arkham games as well. Like he felt like in Arkham City, where he had that kind of psychotic personality, and he had that cockiness, and I feel like that's what we're going to see here, and I'm looking forward to seeing that with his depiction of the character. And you know, there were a lot of elements to this film that because people didn't like how it's got a longer runtime. People think it's too long. I think it's perfect, because I feel like that this film deserves its 2 hour and almost 3 hour film, because one, it's a crime noir. It needs time to build a lot of the characters. It needs a lot of time for Batman to find all these clues, to work as a detective. Because the problem is, if you had it a shorter runtime, I feel like a lot of people will say, well, you've missed this bit out, or this was too easy to solve. It needs this long runtime. And just think of the Snyder Cut. They cut that down to 2 hours, and it was really bad. And when they got Zack Snyder's Justice League, for me, it was a great film, perfect film. And I feel like with this, I'm glad they didn't cut it to a 2 hour film. I feel like it's great that it is almost a 3 hour film, because it deserves its longer runtime. So it dives deep into all these characters. It's setting up a new world. It's setting up a new universe. We're exploring this new Batman. We're exploring this new Catwoman. We're seeing why Edward Nashton is doing this. There's a lot of things to explore, a lot of things to introduce, and it doesn't always have to be in the whole character development doesn't have to finish in this film, because they can set up for sequels and all that. So the runtime, I feel like, is perfect. There was a 4 hour cut, but I've said on my TikTok page, don't go and ask for a 4 hour cut, because we don't know if it's needed. This film probably going to be perfect with its almost 3 hour film. Now they can always put it on a digital release where they have the theatrical cut and then this cut, and then an extended cut, and then people can choose which one they want to watch. But at the moment, I don't think it's necessary, and I don't want people petitioning for a 4 hour cut of Matt Reeves, because it would just, it's just not. It doesn't need to be done. Now, speaking of sequels, I actually feel like that this film has a lot of potential for sequels, and there is one thing I would like for a sequel, and it's actually I would like them to set up the Court of Owls. And the reason why I feel like they can set up the Court of Owls is this film can lay the groundwork, because Nashton can be the one to find all this corruption and maybe get a hinder of the Court of Owls' existence. And maybe at the end of the film, he could be killed off, or maybe Batman captures him and he's put in a jail cell, and then at the end of the film, he's just killed off. And then there's a nod to the Court of Owls, and that would be kind of a cool element, because if that was to happen, then Bruce could be investigating, how did he die? He was locked up. what happened here? And then the sequel could introduce a character, I don't know, like Hush, or someone that can really stick to the crime noir of Batman, because I feel like that these films are going to work great with crime noir. If they keep changing the style, it could feel a lot like they're straying too far from what they originally went with, and it could ruin the overall product and universe. But I feel like in the sequel, there could be a big where the floodgates open, and then Bruce finally understands the existence of the Court of Owls, which then comes into the third film, and then it comes to this massive showdown between Bruce and the Court of Owls. And I feel like they should wait until the third film, because that builds for these first two films, they could build up this anticipation. They could be like, right, Bruce has been hearing about this organization. They've been witnessing this organization, and it took two films, and we were all on the edge of our seats. We all think he's going to find out, and then at the end of the sequel, he could be like, I know someone's ruling Gotham here. I need to investigate. Third film, he's just constantly investigating the court, and that is how this franchise could end. It could end with a massive showdown between Bruce and the court, and I really pray that Warner Brothers does that, because Warner Brothers, I know we're at odds with the DCEU, but we can do this. You've got the opportunity to set up the Court of Owls, and you could do it in a great way. So please do it. But no. So what I feel like could happen in the film, one, we're not going to see a backstory for Bruce. That's already been done. We don't need a training montage. I have stated that I would like to see maybe a series of Bruce solely training, seeing his progression before Batman, and make it an HBO Max series, expand the universe. Instead of having it in the films and wasting time with that, they could do it as a HBO Max series. I feel like that we are going to explore Bruce in a more emotional level, his mental state, his mindset. And we're going to see him struggle broadening the line from hero to vigilante to hero. With Alfred, I feel like he's definitely keeping a lot of secrets from Bruce, and their relationship's going to be fractured when he finds out that Alfred's been lying to him. And then I feel like with Jim Gordon, I feel like he's going to be the one to help root out corruption within the police force. I feel like he's going to be the one to take down maybe the commissioner who could be corrupt, most likely. Jim has to get to commissioner any somehow, so he's going to have to get rid of the commissioner. So it's obviously maybe this commissioner present is probably corrupt. I do feel like that there is opportunity here with Jim Gordon, that we can set some groundwork with, and especially with the Gotham PD show. So I feel like there's a lot of elements to this that I'm looking forward to. Now with Catwoman, I would like to see I would like to see her from both perspectives. I'd like to see her working with Batman, but I'd also like to see her working her own, agenda. I would like to see her going and doing her own thing for some of the film. I would like to go because the thing I like about Batman and Catwoman's relationship is, yes, they're in love with one another, and this is going to be explored, and I'm looking forward to that. But also, we always get to see a journey when they're both separate, and I would love to see my theory is that we're going to see a bit of Catwoman's journey and how maybe she could link with Nashton. Maybe there's something linking her and Nashton. That's why they're in each other's paths. And I want to see how that plays out, because the thing is with storytelling, they don't just put Catwoman in there unless she's a pivotal point in the story. So I feel like she's going to have some form of connection with Nashton, whether she's been working with him or she's going after him for personal reasons. So those are the two theories I think with that. Nashton, I feel like he was a victim to organized crime. I feel like maybe he was the reason why he is now. I feel like Bruce's family might have had an impact on Nashton's life, or maybe Falcone, because Falcone's in this film. I haven't got much to say about Falcone because we don't know much about him. We all know he's a crime boss, and we all know he's going out there and he's going to take he's part of the organized crime. So I feel like him and Bruce's family was linked, similar to the Telltale series. and I think maybe those elements are what drove Nasher to be where he is. Maybe he lost his family, maybe his wife or child. I don't know. Or maybe he was affected for job wise or something. I don't know. But I feel like he was affected by organized crime. That he believes it's his job to root out organized crime. Now, because it's a long movie, we're going to see Bruce fail at being a detective. You know, you got to start somewhere. So I feel like he's going to fail as a detective, but he's going to start building. We're working with Jim Gordon because I think that's also a crucial thing in this, crucial connection in this film as well. I've seen Bruce. Oh, well, I saw what Bruce in the trailer, his connection with Jim, and I feel like in some ways Jim is kind of teaching Batman how to be a detective properly, and that's going to be a cool element, and I can't wait to see that. And I know that this is like a crime noir, Zodiac killer kind of style, and I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot darker. So, at the moment, those are my thoughts on the Batman. Do I feel like that this is going to be a masterpiece? I feel like it could be. I feel like it could be up there with The Dark Knight or surpass it. I feel like this is going to be the Batman of this generation, of this decade. I feel like this is going to set the mark for the Batman. Now, I don't want it to be one of these things like the Joker, where it was like it was just the Joker film solo. I don't know if they're doing a sequel. There have been talks about doing a sequel. I didn't like the Joker film, but I'm not going to go into that. But I don't want the Batman just to be like a standalone film. I feel like if this does really well, they have the opportunity to do, you know, sequels and all that, because they're doing series and stuff like that. So it must mean they're wanting to expand this universe. So I doubt then that they're going to leave it on just one film. But no, those are my thoughts on the Batman, and I cannot wait to see it. It's under 2 months now, so I'm looking forward to seeing the Batman when it comes out in cinemas.